Stop 4B East Wall La Esperanza video. A label reads, Mural Design Process. Malu Ortega and Jimmy Longoria worked together on the La Esperanza mural design. Jimmy produced the black outline and Malu focused on the color. Jimmy requested a gunite dry cement prepared wall in order to create a milk coat-like canvas for the gesso and paint to endure Chicago's extreme weather conditions. Jimmy and Salvador Vega traveled to Cincinnati, Ohio with empty pickle jars because bulk acrylic polymer paint was not yet available in Chicago. Unlike murals before, they mixed Liquitex acrylic polymer paint with aluminum oxide to generate a sunscreen-like paint that would be resistant to color deterioration from ultraviolet light. This would ensure the mural's vibrance for another 20 years. Through many pickle jar paint explosions, they mixed paint using white gesso fortified with 10% aluminum oxide and 45% acrylic polymer paint. This formula would produce the everlasting paint for La Esperanza. They conducted projections of their design from acetate film onto the wall as they created the outlines at night and painted during the day. The artists would rotate sections of the 2,000 square foot wall to have their styles equitably distributed throughout the wall. The mural dedication would occur on September 16, 1979. The 2-year anniversary of Benito Juarez High School inauguration. At the right side of this east wall is a video and sound projection named La Esperanza, made in 1980 by Community TV Network and Latino Youth Alternative School. There is a newspaper clipping to the right of the video. The newspaper clipping is yellowing with black text. The black header text reads, The Chicago Reader Glimpses of TV Future, followed by a black photograph of 3 students filming outside of the La Esperanza mural. One student is looking through the camera toward the right, while the 2 other students on the left are with clipboards pointing toward the right. The newspaper reads, Local Origination at the Public Library Cultural Center, October 5 and 6, 1980. By B. Ruby Rich. Mr. Vodorliak ought to see this show. So should you. Local Origination is a 2-day sampler of broadcast and cable television programs made by independent producers at the community level. It's been assembled by folks at the Chicago Editing Center who scanned both local Chicago and local elsewhere work for the mix of subjects and perspectives that will occupy 3 different viewing rooms at the Public Library Cultural Center this Sunday and Monday afternoon. It's a show that both Chicago's new cable czar and all potential cable viewers would do well to catch. For the videotapes present, a preview of the cable future as it could develop. More important, they present evidence of community television as it has developed already here in Chicago without cable's help. There's a lot of hocus pocus and inflated debate surrounding the cable issue, including no small amount of grandiose predictions. Some feel that cable will finally give independent producers access to the medium in a way never before possible in broadcast television, where even in the public broadcasting service has found ways to keep them out, despite the mandate of the 1978 Telecommunications Act. Some feel that cable will finally give audiences a chance to see what they want instead of what can sell products best or certify corporate identities most prestigiously. There is a danger, of course, that cable will instead prove to be a melting pot that can accommodate almost anything because it will become so overloaded that almost anything will be cancelable, but it's opposite, unlike the networks where most everything is canceled out by its double. There's also the danger, though, that the definition of independent, and for that matter, community, will become so muted and generalized that old maxims will win out over transformation. The old The more things change, the more they remain the same routine. A visit to the fourth floor of the Cultural Center can provide a gauge of just what community television is all about and help viewers understand in concrete terms what all the fuss is over. The videotapes have been divided into 3 separate programs running simultaneously: Community Arts and Culture in one room, Community Issues in another, and Special Audiences, Children, Seniors, and Handicapped in a third. The titles, the tapes, and the philosophy all are evident. Community video is use-oriented, and as such, it is always directed to and/or from specific audiences. The tapes are local in origin, but not limited in appeal in their immediate locale. Indeed, one batch of tapes included here has been hauled from Hometown USA, a collection of community cable TV that the National Federation of Local Cable Programmers put together. Community video has something in common with one of the hottest phenomena of the art world right now. It is site-specific, meaning that the features of the work depend upon the lay of the land or the community, yet have much of interest to offer the outside spectator. Let's take up some specifics. Voluntary Forest is a videotape in progress by Milwaukee's Medusa Video Group, who call it a veritape because of its function as evidence. The tape documents the integration process of the Milwaukee public school system, an issue that might be of at least passing interest to Chicagoans this fall. Spending 3 months inside the schools, the producers captured a clear program of discriminatory busing that works on a voluntary basis for white students because of the forced displacement of Black students in exchange. There's a terrific debate between Milwaukee's school superintendent and a Black high school student who is nobody's fool. It's a forced choice, he insists. There's a record of the hearings at which high school students, parents, and alumni testify to their needs and complaints in front of a white school board that be occasioned merely as a call for courtesy. Most chillingly, there is an on-the-street interview with some white girls at a Northside high school who respond to the nature of the tape. It's about school desegregation, with contemptuous, scalding laughter, and quickly pass off camera. Statistics support the material that we see only 3% of the white students have had to change schools since the start of the desegregation program, but 1 out of every 3 Black students has already been bused to a different school. Voluntary Force is a story of displacement told from the side of the displaced, assembled with the considerable skill and dedication of video makers truly concerned with that community. As a result, there's access to the community that a broadcast news person would never get. And there's a usefulness to the community that a 30-second evening news spot, if it materialized, might not provide. On a lighter level, tapes like Lily Ollinger's Now and Then and the Annette Barbier, Elizabeth Jackson, and Michelle Kolevsky's production, I See the World So Beautifully, show a similar commitment to their subjects and identification with the community that the major media would quickly dismiss as special interests. It's about time that terms like special interests were reappraised, for are they really any more limited in constituency or audience than the bland pseudo-level universal commodities that come to us confidently labeled general interests? I doubt it, for they certainly can be more immediate, more passionate, and sometimes even more entertaining. Now and Then is a half-hour upbeat portrait of a troupe of women, all senior citizens dedicated to reviving old vaudeville and Prohibition-era tunes, which they perform to a series of groups they own age around the city. Directed by Kate L. Simon, the women have really become troopers, not only conquering costume needs and rehearsal demands, but triumphing also over rheumatism, arthritis, heating pads, heart palpitations, and the conspiracy of invalidism that has kept most of them previously tied to their homes. Actually, members of the Benai Rebirth chapter, the women's have taken out a second lease on life via tunes like 10 Cents a Dance and A Good Man is Hard to Find. They're spicy, lively, and utterly unsentimental about their situations and aspirations, so it's nice to find now and then neither condescending nor pandering in its treatment of them. I See the World So Beautifully is an interesting semi-dramatic, semi-documentary view of artist Caramelo Ganello and the change of his life and work caused by his loss of sight from retinal detachment. By using dramatic recitations of his words in conjunction with Kolevsky's mime-like hand signings for the deaf, the tape tries to convey the feeling of what Ganello calls my twilight of circles, the artist's inner eye. Sometimes the tape is overly dramatic, but when the balance is right, it works. Such tapes offer views of the elderly and the handicapped that don't fit common charity case conceits for victimization or woe. They are tapes that wouldn't embarrass their subjects. Woman Take Back the Night by the Minneapolis Iris Video Group has a more immediate value. In addition to documenting one Take Back the Night march and rally held in August of 1979, the tape lays out the detailed how-tos of such an event for the benefit of women's groups that might want to stage rallies themselves. More than a manual, the tape offers an unusual clear picture of how often nebulous women's movement functions at a grassroots level. It thus becomes an educational, consciousness-raising work in its own right. Women at the rally wear beautiful pageant ribbons that read, "I survived a rape." Poems read from the rostrum and illustrated on the tape convey attitudes. Rape is no different from getting run over by a truck, except that afterwards people ask you if you enjoyed it. Coming a week after Chicago's second annual Take Back the Night rally, the videotape is useful both as a comparison and inspiration. Obviously, its issue isn't just local. There's an important question underlying the whole issue of community television, and it's come time to raise it. Who is making community television? The difference between community TV and the other kind is a difference of identity and perspective, and of course funds, access, skin color, and a dozen other factors. Television as a medium has often less access than any other. It has nothing that corresponds to the neighborhood newspaper or the call-in radio show, and yet it presumes to speak for the very people it keeps on the living room side of the TV set. As the age of cable edges closer, the question of just who is going to be producing all this great community television will become increasingly urgent to answer. Fortunately, in Chicago, there is one answer coming into existence. The community television network, CTVN, has grown from the work of Denise Zaccardi, who in her capacity as the video component of the Alternative Schools Network has planted and cultivated community video projects everywhere from Uptown to Pilsen to the Westtown Humboldt Park area. The kids in those projects have produced tapes like Latin Queens, An Insider's View of a Girl's Gang, and Mary Am, an unself-conscious kid sister's view of a revered big sister included in special audiences part of the program. Over the years, the kids have grown up and stuck with the project, and Zaccardi has only become more dedicated to the notion of community television. Last week, at a celebration hosted by Borgwarner, the formation of the new community television network was formally announced. What's going on? Well, it seems that the program has outgrown its original education function. The kids who originally got a taste of the video as part of their learning have become skilled workers, giving us back a new taste of community television. The Allstate and Woods Foundations have been giving seed money as a vote of confidence. CETA, the Youth Alliance, have given salary support. The Illinois Arts Council and National Endowment provided a seal of approval, as soon as her board finds another $100,000. Zaccardi will be off and running. The project, a network of community television centers around Chicago, taping local events and producing videotapes of community interests, training young adults who would never make it to TV otherwise, and providing services for community groups. It's an ambitious plan, and one that could never succeed in the tapes themselves didn't prove their worth. La Esperanza and Think Twice, made by the video groups at Latino Youth and Ruiz Pelvis Centers, respectively, are both on show at the Cultural Center, and they give the whole scheme a definite credibility. Think Twice is a very, very simple videotape. In it, 3 different women talk about their lives as teenage mothers, all 3 left alone by the footloose fathers, all 3 thanking their own mothers who are taking over childcare and making life possible. The tape has a prelude not on this program in which fathers, young men, and other passerbys respond to the question, "What would you do if your sister, daughter, girlfriend got pregnant?" Here in Think Twice, it's these very sisters, daughters, and girlfriends speaking for themselves. Their statements aren't often eloquent, nor are the stagey questions often impressive as journalism. Instead, what comes across is a picture of a group of women trying to think through a messy fait accompli. All of them advise other women to see doctors or get abortions or not trust men with sex. It's a direct, outrageously immediate record of cause-effect reaction. The tape was intended for use with groups of teenagers in Westtown, and it no doubt will be most effective there. But it's also of great interest to us. These women don't see themselves as victims. They don't think they have it so bad or that anyone should feel sorry for them, but neither do they think that other women should follow their example. Think Twice is a study in contradiction and survival, neither of which is newspaper worthy these days. It's a look from the inside out, not the other way around. Sure, we get to see it too, but we're not in its racing degree. I've held La Esperanza for the end because more than any other tape on view in this program, it encapsulates many of the issues pertinent in any consideration of community video or art. La Esperanza is a work in progress. The 14-minute edit here on view is an investigation into a mural commissioned by Benito Juarez High School and designed by Malu Ortega y Alvaro and Jaime Longoria. Considerable controversy surrounded the choice of their non-traditional semi-abstract mural, a controversy that the tape reflects in its juxtaposition of different speakers and its recordings of events from the initial painting of the mural to its defacement and eventual completion. The issue central to the mural and to many of the people in the tape is what is community art and what prescriptions can be laid upon it. One manifesto attacks Jaime for being an outsider to the community and attacks the mural for not being designed within the prevailing Chicano realist tradition visible on the surrounding walls of Pilsen. But a Spanish-speaking woman who is part of the mural commission committee defends that exact point, explaining that she was tired of the usual iconography seen on so many community walls and felt a need for something different. In this version, her speech is untranslated into English subtitles, just as English is untranslated into Spanish, making the tape more limited than need be. Jaime provides a sample of captivating but long-winded aesthetic explanation that must have helped win over the committee, while Malu, a graduate of the School of the Art Institute, explains the decision to use my colors for the mural's distinctive appearance. Together, they present a picture of artists coming up against conflicting currents within a community and facing still current conflicts with its other artists. La Esperanza doesn't offer any great solution, nor does it take sides between the commissioned artists who see themselves as pioneers bringing aesthetic change to an outdated Chicanismo, and the other artists who see them as elitists imposing an alien artistic standard on a building won by the struggle of a community unable to understand the picture now gracing it. I should note here what the tape doesn't note, that many of the artists seen working on the mural were themselves using contestants hired by the winning designer who are new to mural making. The issues are not easy. Insider, outsider, tradition, change, issues like politics and aesthetics, history and education don't break down into black and white picture. Toward the middle of the tape, one committee woman admits that she wishes the explanation of the mural's symbology could be written down because she herself cannot replicate the beautiful explanation that the artist gave her. How understandable should art be? Or is it patronizing to assume too little, lazy to stretch no further? At the moment, La Esperanza is a beautiful sampler of color footage awaiting funds for final editing. Independent professionals Mirko Popodak and Laura Litton, who both work at Communications for Change, helped supervise the shooting and editing, but the tape was the project of students at Latino Youth. It's a most ambitious work for such a group, and one that shows the lengthy process and serious thinking that went into it. More than any other tape, it proves that community television network has come of age. If that answers part of the question of where community television might be coming from, there's still the matter of where it's going, pending cable. Rumors floating around town this week and increasingly confirmed indicate that a move is afoot to get Channel 20 on the air again with the Center for New Television as a partner in its arrival. Tom Weinberg, whose Channel 11 Image Union show has been a showcase for much of the work included in this local origination exhibition, is pushing for that to happen. There's no secret that the Center for New Television, the Chicago Editing Center, and Communications for Change have the most intertwined board of directors and officers in town. If they manage to pull this off and get an alternative station on air, it's going to be an exciting media coup for the city. It will mean a steady diet of local origination, guaranteeing sustenance for an undernourished population.